Okay, Joe coming at you, and I don't know if you know this, but I'm a self-proclaimed watermelon whisperer. What's that mean? Well, real simply, I've learned how to choose watermelons in the grocery store, and I've gotten so good at it that 8 of the last 10 picks have been spot on, and my wife is usually the critic. When I cut it open, I give her the first piece. So she's not here today, so you're gonna have to take my word for it. But I'm gonna put it all on the line. When I get done, I'm gonna cut this bad boy open and see if I chose right. So I'm gonna go through 6 tips on what you should be looking for when you go to the grocery store to make sure you don't get what my father used to call, if a watermelon had no taste, he'd call it a pumpkin. Because he would just be, it had to be sweet, it had to be, full of a lot of good water content. But he was an expert because he grew his own on the farm. And I tell you what, there's nothing like homegrown watermelon from upstate New York where we used to live. I used to grow them too. It's amazing, especially if you wait till they fall off the vine. But that brings me to a couple things. Number one, if you're going to do this, if you're going to buy a watermelon, you might want to check out what the season is in your area. We're out here on the West Coast, so from June to August for us is when they get them to market the quickest, and that's the best time to buy them. That's season. So number one, first tip, buy them in season. Number two, you want to check something that I think is extremely important, and that is, where was the stem? And if you notice on this bad boy here, it looks like the stem is brown around it, which means it ripened close enough on the vine versus being picked early in case they had to transport it from another country. That's a good sign. What's another good sign? This right here, this belly should be yellow. There should be a section out where it's yellow, not white. White means it didn't finish ripening and it's not going to be as sweet, so that belly's important. I kind of like, too, looking for some spots right there that shows a little bit of bubbles of sugar coming out. That's kind of cool. That's number 3, the golden belly. And then this is something. See all those little marks? Those are called russeting, and those are called webbing. And I find one that's got hit quite a bit. And what that is, during the pollination process, bees are striking at it. So the bees know ahead of time if it's going to be a good melon. So they're sold before we are on it. So that rustling, that webbing is important to look for. Here's something. I didn't know this, but that should look like that's not that heavy, right? But surprisingly, for that small of a melon, that's pretty heavy. And what you're looking at, if you pick up the melon and it doesn't kind of surprise you about the weight, there's a problem. So that's a big thing. So, and I always don't look for the biggest melon. I want to find what I think is going to have the most flavor. Now, I picked up one today, I got to tell you, and I was surprised. I went to feel it, and it was actually squishy. That's a really bad sign. Horrible. If you see that, then put it back or go and tell the grocer, say, get this one out of here. But the other thing you want to do, and this is very important, my grandfather used to do this all the time. I used to watch him. He'd do this to like a couple dozen of them. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's a good sound. If it's a thud, thud, thud and not really crisp like that, that probably means that you have one that's got way too thick of a rind and it's not ripe. Now, if there's no sound at all, like very little, that's another bad sign. So you get to a point where you know which ones are good based on the sound. That's kind of a thing. Now, moment of truth. I'm going to cut in this bad boy and see if I picked right. So I gave you all this information. I'm supposedly this great guru of watermelon, self-proclaimed, and now we're going to put it to the test. And of course, my equipment. And of course, my phone fell off the stand while I was doing this, so I had to reset it up. Now, here's one of the things I look for too. When you go to cut into it, I want to hear that crunch noise. I want to hear that crackling sound when I cut into it. That's a biggie. And this one's got a nice sound. Let's see. Moment of truth. Yes. I don't want to see any mealiness. I don't want to see any stuff that shows that it's grainy. And I want to just do a quick test here and see if this has got the right. I'm choking. Nothing's going right with this video. But yes, it's got a nice texture. It's not grainy. So I did really good, and my wife's going to be happy. Now, here's the other thing, too. I like thinking that if you buy a watermelon and you don't consume it within 3 days, then after that means you probably chose one that was too green, not ripe enough. So this bad boy is going to be gone in 72 hours. So we're going to cut it up, eat it slowly over the next few days, but we're going to get after it because I believe that's kind of the time limit on it. So hope that information helps. I can't breathe. I can't swallow because I'm choking on watermelon. So for a watermelon whisperer, I got some things to learn, I guess. But hope those tips help. And I'll tell you what, after a while, you're going to go to the store and you're going to be like telling people around you, hey, can I help you pick out a watermelon? Okay. So until the next video podcast, stay healthy, stay strong, and learn how to really get good at picking out watermelons. It's so worth it.